Tuning you in now to the LBX show with your host, Brandon Wiley. Brought to you by the LBX Collective, your community to connect, engage, and inspire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the LBX show for January 18th, 2026. We have a great show lined up for you today. First, we're going to dive into a very, very brief news you should know. And that's because we're going to roll into then a robust guest gab with Clint Novak. He's going to share details about his experience opening up his Clawcade called Planet Novak. And then we're going to hear from Kevin Williams with Open and Shut to review the opening and closing trends from last week. And then next, Adam Pratt's going to give his thoughts on EAG, which is the European Amusement and Gaming Expo, just took place this last week in London at the Excel Center. And then they do that arcade corner. And then we're going to round out the show with pro tips. As Chuck DeMonte, he's going to discuss 3 ways to build local awareness. So with that being said, let's get started with some news you should know. All right. I promise this will be the last time that we talk about IAAPA FEC Summit before the actual IAAPA FEC Summit, which we'll talk about afterwards. But it is coming up February 1st to the 3rd in Glendale, Arizona, right across the valley, the Phoenix Valley here, about 45 minutes to an hour from where I am currently standing. I'm so incredibly fucking excited for this. It is going to be a great session. Libby Gill is the keynote speaker. She's a leadership expert and author. And the whole overall theme of everything is going to basically be to play the long game and build a lasting legacy. So that is the overall concept. And, you know, there's going to actually be 3 locations they're visiting, and all 3 locations have been confirmed now. An announcement went out this week from IAAPA. It is going to be Fat Cats, KTR, which is stands for Kids That Rip. It's an indoor like skate park place, and active play adventure park, and then Pecan Lake Entertainment. And so excited to go visit, although I've been to all those, but excited to go with all of you and visit those places. And then the thing that I'm also looking forward to is the Wacky Golf event on Sunday. It's a charity event that goes towards the IAAPA Foundation for the FEC Foundation Scholarship. And this is a great way to raise money for the FEC Scholarship. And if you're not familiar with what that is, let's talk about that. And you can find any number of people from IAAPA, or we can talk about that when we meet up there on Sunday. So looking forward to that. And also, keep in mind, if you aren't familiar with this, there's a dress, like a dress contest, or whatever you want to call it, costume contest. And it always happens the first Sunday night. It's at the opening reception. And this year's theme is going to be golf, wacky golf, whatever you want to do, like anything in the golf theme. So a couple of years back, it was a Caddyshack theme. So that was very specific, but it is going to be a golf theme. So anyway, that is the FEC Summit. Again, it is like 2 weeks from now. So I'm not going to talk about it next week because it's, you know, if you haven't booked your travel and your rooms and everything else, then you're too late. You're not too late. You can still book it, but it's just, you know, I'm not going to talk about it next week because we're going to have enough other things to talk about. Specifically, we're going to talk about the announcement of the Brass Ring Award top FEC and LBE finalists. And I'm going to have a very special guest on next week. And that we are going to talk about what made these guys the finalists. Like, why are they unique? Why did they stand out? And so we have Hoopa Loopa Istanbul. This is for the top FEC finals for the Brass Ring Award. It's Hoopa Loopa Istanbul, Spine Ninjas HQ, which is in Vegas, and then Hall You Need. And so those are the top FEC finalists. Again, we're going to break these down next week on a special segment, Guest Gab segment, to talk about one of the judges will be coming on and walking us through their, you know, how the debates that all went into it. And then the top LBE finalists, location-based entertainment finalists, are FG Big Wheel, Deutschland Museum, and 60 to Escape Woodfield. So those are the finalists. Obviously, the final winner has already been chosen. I don't know what they are because I wasn't a part of the committee this year making those judges or grades, but we will find out at IAAPA Honors coming up in just a few months. So that is the FEC Brass Ring Awards and the LBE Brass Ring Awards, and excited to talk about that. All right. Well, that is it for news you should know. Coming up after the quick break, we are going to dive right into Guest Gab with Clint Novak. Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercard is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right. Well, Clint, welcome back to Guest Gab. It's good to have you back, man. It's been a little while.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So you have been busy these last few months. Well, actually, we're going to hear all about the story and the timeline. But you've been busy building a new what are we going to call it? A Claw store? Claw?
I call it a Claw Arcade.
Claw Arcade. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Claw Arcade.
We opened in late October, early November. It's a concept we've been working on for 4 to 5 months. I mean, as you guys already know, with A&A, I was traveling all over the U.S., visiting locations all over the place, 250 locations in 2 years. Only 3 or 4 of those were actual Claw arcades, but I really fell in love with the concept because it was a small kind of niche that has been traveling over from Asia and hitting the markets pretty hard here now. I mean, they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love the concept of just having an arcade where people could go. It's all merchandisers and you win a lot. Like you walk out with bags full of merchandise. And I really liked the idea of winners and creating that kind of environment. And so I had a friend of mine who is not part of the industry, best friend. His name's Nate. And I've been pitching him ideas forever on like, hey, we could do this or we could do that. And one day I pitched him on this Claw arcade idea, and he jumped on it. He was like, this sounds like a great opportunity. It's not a lot of money. We did some research, talked to some other people who own some Claw arcades, and we settled in on about $300,000 is what it would cost us. And we did some things with our Claw arcade that probably would cost more money than if you did it a different way. So you could probably even do it less than that. But first, I figured we would go through. I'll kind of give you the idea of how quickly we did our build, and then I can talk about what Planet Novak is and why we're different than other Claw arcades. So
yeah, perfect. Let's do it.
So this is the mall space that we have at the Spotsylvania Town Center. This is also all of the Clawcades that I've been to do not exist in a mall environment. They're like in a strip mall or in a standalone. And I wanted that transient traffic walking by. And so I was like, okay, well, let's talk to the mall. We started talking to them in April. We secured the space. There was already a vendor in there. But we also had to wait for games to be delivered. We ordered all of our games through Eunice. We ordered them through Betson. They're all Eunice games. They're going to take 60 days to get here. So we ordered them in July with the hope of having them in mid-October. So this is the space after it was vacated by the clothing store. Me excited about the Cosmic Clawcade, which was the original name, coming to the mall. At this point, too, I was a silent partner in the festivities. So with A&A, they didn't want me to talk about my involvement with the arcade. Right. So I didn't publicly announce it until after I was separated from A&A. With the clothing store, there was shelving and stuff everywhere that we then were responsible for removing. So we had all of that done. We took over the space October 3rd is when we actually took over the space. My business partner, Nate's in the middle there. We hired a director of operations, Justin, who worked with me at Funland. The idea was me and Nate were going to work full-time. Justin was going to be full-time at the Clawcade, and he was going to be the guy expanding and handling all of the day-to-day operations, while me and Nate were going to expand the company from mall to mall. Location here, getting ready, all painted. This is our color scheme, purple, pink, yellow. We kept the floors the same, so we didn't do anything with the floors. We didn't do really anything with the ceiling or lighting. We had to do some patchwork, but that was about it. And all of this happened within 2 weeks. So the electrician came in, did their work. the painters, contractors all work together at the same time. And it is some of the free labor we have here. The kids,
of course,
we're setting up furniture that day, so they got to help us make the couch. We have these. We looked up ugly orange furniture, and this is what we got on Amazon. So, and
you specifically wanted ugly orange furniture?
Ugly orange furniture. We almost kind of wanted like a retro theme.
Yeah.
You know, but still have it like our color scheme is like I said, orange, purple, and so we wanted to fit in that color scheme, and we came up with some pretty unique furniture. You can see the couches there in the background as the games start arriving. And yeah, so the games arrived a week later than we were anticipating. And so we probably would have been able to open a week earlier if the games would have arrived on time, but they arrived a week later than we were hoping due to transit. They had to go from somewhere in Asia over to, I think, Canada or US, and then to us through Betson.
So at what time, like where are we now in the year? So it's still in October?
Yeah, this is October. I would say the week of the 26th. I think the 26th is like a Friday. The games arrived on a Monday, and we opened that Friday. So these are the games arriving on a Monday. Amusement Connect was already installed on the system on the games.
That's nice.
We did the white glove service through Betson. So I mean, they even hired movers to push the games in. So we literally did nothing. We just said, put the game there, and they had it all under control when they come to bring everything in. The game's arriving. This is the exciting part here is when it starts getting real. All the games in, and then we started putting them into position. You have to open them up and take all the stuff out. So that's what the technicians are working on. Our guys are working on furniture there in the front. Some other stuff that we had to build. It was a 3-day process for Betson to install all the games and get them in there, and it wasn't perfect. There was some issues that we had to work out with Eunice after the fact that the Betson crew were just unable to take care of. It was basically all these TV screens linked together to make one big game. So when one wins, they all blah, 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 blah. And you can play what they call mini games. There's a tap game where for 15 seconds, everybody's going to tap the button as fast as they can. And the person who taps it the most wins 2 free games on that claw that they're at. And so, but in order to do that, all of the games have to tie together, network together, all of that kind of stuff. And so that was the issue that we hit right away is just getting those games all tied together.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, I do like the fact that you did tie them all together. You go to actually some other Clawcades, and they're not linked together, right? They're all independent, and I think it's a big differentiator to be able to link those all and have the unified experience and unified brand going across all of them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other cool things that you can do with the TV screens. You can put birthday party messages up there with the child's face, so you can take a picture of the child, have it go up on the TV screens for their birthday. You can, obviously, it says unbox in these pictures, but we've now changed it to Planet Novak, so it scrolls Planet Novak. And there's an opportunity for you to put some other pictures up there as well during its just rotation of, its daily rotation. You're paying a premium when you go with Eunice, because Eunice is going to be a more expensive arcade system. But like I said, we really like the idea of having that linkage. And we could go probably with another operator that would be less flashy, but cost less for all the claws that we did, and that would bring down your costs significantly, maybe another 15,000 or so, if you went with another operator with the different manufacturer. So again, just us putting the final touches, the games together. You can start seeing the redemption counter kind of coming together here. My wife and my business partner's mother-in-law putting all the candy in. This is another unique thing we did is we decided we're only going to put high-end candy in the redemption case. So this is all candy that costs $1 or more for you to purchase. So then you're obviously passing that on to the consumer when they're trading up for that product. And then the rest of the trade up is plush. So this is the beginning. There's very little plush up there right there. Now we have a lot of plush, but that's the opening team there for Cosmic Clawcade. Grand opening. I've lived in the area for quite a while, so I had a lot of friends who jumped in to say, hey, we want to make this an amazing opening. So my friend Casey here and her daughter did this crazy balloon arch over the entrance here that stayed there for a week. They did that free of charge for us. You can see the line getting ready to come in. The first 100 people got a $25 play card. So you can see the line of people getting ready to come in. Once opening day, this is the crowd of people coming in playing the games. We had a DJ there playing, DJ D-Lac. He was a friend of mine who pitched in and helped us out. Ivy, who does face painting. She's done a lot of face painting with us in the past. I love this, the Clint Novak banana beanie, I guess. I don't know what that is, but there we go. And so one thing I don't think we talked about, and maybe you guys have already talked about it before, the Clawcade concept or the Claw Room concept of trading up. So all of our
have you explained that? So I'm glad you're bringing that up. We have talked about it in the past, but give us a refresher on what that looks like to trade up.
Basically, we all of our games are programmed to pay out at a 25% payout. So we want, or not all of our games, but all of the claw games that the merchandise is trade upable. And so they're paid out at a 25%. We want a winner every 8 to 10 times. So we programmed it so that whatever the cost of the plush is, plus the whatever you charge for the game is going to equal out 8 to 10 times. It's going to pay out. We want people to walk out with bags of stuff, and so what they can do then is they can win the stuff that's in the claw and then go to the redemption counter and trade up for other items, because basically that plush has a value. We give it a value on the claw. It says this is 400 stars, this is 250 stars, and they can go up to the counter and trade up. And we have everything from Xboxes, Nintendo Switch 2 or 3, whatever the newest Switch is, we got that. And then we have a whole bunch of bigger plush that you can trade up. One of the things that if you have Toy Factory Pokemon plush, you're not allowed to put that in a claw or merchandiser, but you can trade up for it. So you can put it at your redemption counter and have people trade up for it, which is one of our most popular trade up items is Pokemon. That's also why we wanted to put the candy in there. We wanted something that people could just walk up with one plush and trade it in for 1 or 2 more pieces of candy. And so that's why we put that in there. If you trade up, the way the trade up works percentage-wise is we actually then gain 5% because of the way it's structured and paid off. So the redemption counter is basically a 20% payout if you trade up. And so we regain 5% of the play that you had going into it. So, and then we have some bigger games, the cut to wins, which are the fantastic prizes. We put some pretty big stuff in there. That's going to be at a 20% payout. And then our blind boxes and such in our over the edge, that's going to be 25% payout. And so, we want to create a environment of winners. And that's obviously what everybody wants to do when you have a redemption counter. But I think we take it a little more seriously and push it a little more. The thing that stands out most for us is our culture and our employees. Our team members, we only have 4 people who work for us. But they are, every review we've received talks about how great our staff is, because they go out there, they interact with you, they tell you how everything works, but they're also watching, because there's nothing more frustrating than buying a $25 play card and then playing some games. And they're all, obviously they're programmed to pay out every 8 to 10 times. So one, you could go up and win the first time.
Right.
But there's others that you could go, and if you don't know and you tap one a couple of times, then you move on to the next one a couple of times. And these staff members are watching all of that. And if they see the frustration starting to build, they walk over and they're like, hey, let's win this prize. Let's try this again. So they're tapping. If it doesn't work a couple of times for them tapping, they're like, let's rearrange this a little bit. So they open it up and they put the guy right on the thing. So they just knock it off into the thing, which hurts our percentages. It's going to bring up our percentage a little bit. But again, we don't want that. Once you get that first win, you're going around and you get used to it, and you're going to start playing, and the rejection of those losses are overcome by the amount of wins that you're getting. But getting the first win, if we see that frustration building, we want to make sure we go over and we're taking care of the guests.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, not only like the fact that you have just hired good people, but that you've trained them to be on the lookout for that, and then even be creative and be giving them the license to go in and like, again, like make it so easy that all they have to do is like knock it down into the, into the chute. Like that is like the knowing that they can go and do that themselves, and they have that agency to do that, I think is it's huge. And guest satisfaction is way more important, especially as you're first starting out. And especially as somebody's first experience maybe inside of a Clawcade, like the first time they're starting out, you want them to be able to have a great experience and really understand how it works.
Yeah, and I mean, all of these guys I've worked with in the past. They're Funland elites, and we knew we're going to pay a premium. We're paying basically. They were all managers from Funland, so they're all people who were higher up there. And before 5-Star took over at Funland, my belief was always empower your employees, let them make decisions. If a guest came in and they were unhappy about a policy, we have a no refund policy, but I always said, give the refund. I'm never going to be mad at you for taking care of the guest or giving the refund or avoiding something bad. And that also goes to turn if they decide that they're not going to give the refund and the guest gets upset and they come down there. I'm never going to reverse the decision of the employee unless it was a very terrible decision. But it's like if you go down there and they're like, I decided that this is the stance that I'm taking and it's a policy procedure, I'm going to stand by the employee because the second you go around and say, I'm going to go ahead and give you this refund, and the employee said, I'm not giving you the refund. Now the employee just feels like, well, they really don't have the ability to make those decisions because you're just going around them and and giving the guests what they want. And so, I think a lot of that, shines here. They're happy to be there. They're having fun. It's a fun new experience. And, you have to pay that premium to really get them to jump and engage the guests. The other thing we recently did is we turned over our social media to them and said, have some fun with it. I told them, I want you guys to be famous. I want people to come into our location and say, I saw you guys on TikTok. I saw you guys on Facebook. I want them to be excited about the personalities that they are they're creating. And I'm trying to pull up. I'm going to see if I can pull up a couple of the things that they've created here because I think they're a lot. Well,
and while you're pulling that up too, I'd love to. I just want to show off this website. So I'm sure you've heard many of my rants on just terrible websites for attractions. And look, I think you have a phenomenal site here. This like video at the bumper, like very well produced. Shows like tons of excitement and energy. Like it's like, frankly, it's one of the best videos explaining the location that I've seen in general, let alone a shopping mall Clawcade. And so like you've just done a phenomenal job here, really giving people a sense for like the experience they're going to have. And then, the other thing I really like about what you've done is it doesn't feel like sometimes you go into these Clawcades and they're just jammed to the walls with rows and rows of claw machines, and there's very little space. It feels very crowded. You've done a good job with coming in, even having the furniture in the middle with the rug. It feels welcoming and inviting. Like the color scheme is great and it all ties together. So anyway, I wanted to call that out because again, I rip on a lot of sites often, and you've done a phenomenal job here. And if anybody wants to take a look at a really well done, like in general, a well done site, you can check out planetnovak.com. So I just wanted to show that while you were pulling something else up. And then I also want to know a little bit about this, about your mascot, the monkey. So does the monkey have a name?
Yes. So first, I want to say you're giving me all this credit for this website. I have to pass this down. Oliver is the person who built our website. He is amazing. He works in the industry. He has his own claw company in Florida. He also works with a vendor that we all know, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to say, so I'm just going to say he works behind the scenes as well. He started with me at Funland, and again, it's these reputations. I like to think that this is a sign that I may have been a good manager, is because these people stick with me well after they've left Funland. And so he was my branding guy. He built our website at Funland, and when I turned around and said I need my consulting website done, we need Planet Novak, he didn't send us a quote. He didn't ask for money. He just started doing it. And those are the relationships that's like I can't stress enough that you once you build that culture of people around you, not just in your company, but just the people you spend time with that are willing to jump in there and be like, yep, I'm helping you out. I'm jumping in there and doing that. So, my friend Carl made the logo and did all of that. Oliver did the website design. Tawan Brown did the video that you were talking about. Tawan is heavily involved with Devin Olson Media, which they do a lot of the media for SeaWorld, Dollywood, the Busch Gardens. So they're in a lot of amusement parks doing that. And he just happens to be one of my best friends who lives in the area here. And I got him kind of started in that path down the amusement industry video. And so, again, I call him up. We need a video. He gives me a date. We fill it with extras and get a great video done. So, but talking about the mascot Cosmo, we're in the process of getting everything ready, ordered, building the brand, and we are looking for furniture for the location. And we look up, the first thing we looked up was ugly purple furniture, because purple is one of our colors, and this banana beanbag banana chair came up. And I sent it into our group, and I said, we're getting the beanbag banana chair. And the co-owner, Nate, says, well, why would we do that? That has nothing to do with our theme. And I said, well, it has everything to do with our theme, because our monkey mascot would love this banana chair. And he goes, we have a monkey mascot? And then I just had AI generate a astronaut monkey, which then became Cosmo, and it was a joke. It was like us just saying, oh yeah, Cosmo would love the banana chair. And we had pictures of Cosmo riding a banana in space, like it's a space thing, and all this stuff. And it all stemmed down from this banana chair we found on Amazon, which we do have if you come to our location.
Oh, I saw in one of your pictures. I saw the purple banana chair.
Yeah, the ugly banana chair. It's there. It was the first thing we ordered other than the games. So. And so Cosmo kind of turned into, at first it was kind of my alter ego, because again, I wasn't allowed to talk about the fact that I was involved with this project. And so everything was Cosmo based. When you would reach out to, our Facebook page, Cosmo would be the one responding back to you. All of the posts were being done by Cosmo, when we first started out. And this, even friends like DJ D-Lac, he messaged us early on and said, I want to help out. I want to be a part of the grand opening. And Cosmo responded back to him with details about him that he wouldn't like. He was like, how does Cosmo know who I am? I know who DJ D-Lac is. He's my friend, but he didn't know I was involved with it. So when he was like, oh, I love what you do at the Fred Nats games and getting people hyped up, we would love to have you there. He's like, how does Cosmo the monkey know this? Like, and later on, when I was able to tell him I was involved, then he tells me this long story about how crazy it was that Cosmo knew all that stuff. But like I said, as we now we have our team together, Cosmo is still part of our brand, and he's still there and is still doing posts, but we want the team to now shine. We want the team to be the staple of really why people are going to be coming to Planet Novak. So I'm trying to pull up, I wanted to show some of the videos that they put together here. I got to share the screen here.
By the way, too, for those of you who have not looked up, you're listening and you don't do what I do immediately, is go look up Planet Novak and want to get that 21 5-star reviews. You have a perfect 5-star review on Google, and that's out of 21 reviews too. So it's not like 3 people who are all your friends just went and left 5-star reviews. This is it's a legit 5-star review. So, again,
and when you're reading these,
team,
right? And when you're reading these, it's all very friendly and helpful staff. Celebrated my son's 9-year-old birthday party yesterday. VIP treatment from the moment he walked in the door. Staff was amazing, and you can see, this is James with the 9-year-old. They're over there. He's teaching them how to win this game. We want, every time we play a mini tap game, we play it for the birthday child. We're like, everybody give it up. Let's get the birthday child over here, and they get to select the game first, and then they get to play the game. But That's awesome. Everything is about how great the staff is. And so, nope, they didn't say anything about the staff right there. There we go. But so everything, and so this is the other problem. I love this problem. A lot of fun. Man with long hair is always very nice and helpful. So that told us, what do we need? We need name tags. So we're getting name tags for everybody, because people started describing the employees who were helping them, and the employees, I don't think we're taking offense to it, but they're like, sometimes they all look kind of the same. They're all tall. They all have facial hair. Some is longer hair, some is shorter hair, but it's like, so it's like, well, wait a minute, which one are they talking about? So. But these are some of the things that I wanted to just show off as some of the ideas that they had when it came to some of the social media stuff. So,
hey guys, how many plushies do you think I have? Like 6 or 7.
Are you able to hear those? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can definitely hear the audio. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we have a claw that's empty, and we need to fill it. No bad ideas. What do we got? Thinking.
I have an idea. Tacos.
Oh, it opens up too. It was, for those of you who are just listening, that was it laid out a bunch of Taco Bell tacos in the claw machine. It picked up one of them and actually went down the chute, but then opened up inside at the bottom. But it's pretty good.
Yeah, we had a new employee.
Edwards, let's put it on.
Put what on?
The last suit you'll ever wear. You will dress only in attire specially sanctioned by MIB Special Services. Edward.
So nice. I just we drifted away from the Cosmo stuff, and they're out. And Cosmo still does the PR posting. He's the one who's promoting different things that are coming up. But when it comes to the videos and stuff, I told the staff, I want you guys to be superstars. I want you guys to have fun with it. Don't insult the guests. Have fun with each other, and just do stuff that is going to get views, and people are going to be like, I need to go see these guys. Or when they do go, they're like, hey, I saw you on Facebook. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's so great. And do like that you do have dedicated parties as well. I know you mentioned that 9-year-old came in to celebrate the party, but you actually have party packages, and they get exclusive access to use that middle center area, the lounge, I think you call it. But again, just good naming. Dedicated, you get a dedicated mission commander. You have your party package for Cosmic Conquest Party, VIP Expedition Party. So anyway, very well thought through, and appreciate you walking us through all of this.
Yeah, it's been a blast. We have a space that's right next door to us that is now open, and we're toying around with the idea of taking that space over and putting in a retro arcade that can be unmanned, that we don't have to supervise. We're right next door, so we can open, close it, clean it, and we're thinking about moving the birthday parties over there because that would give us a little more room. But it would also give us, if we had retro games, that would give us something that we can give people an hour to play, as a part of their birthday party, and then go over and play the claws. Because a claw arcade birthday party is very quick. It's an hour. And, you get, if you get $35 on a play card, you can spend that, in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, that's why we play the tap games, to try to slow them down from spending all the money on their card right away. and still give them the trade up and all the fun stuff that they get to do. But then they also, they bring their cake in. We don't have a kitchen, so we let them bring whatever food they want in. We'll set up. We have plates and napkins and stuff that we help them, with their own catering. And we tell them. I mean, we're right next to Costco, so if you have a Costco membership, go over there, get 2 pizzas, come on over. Costco cake is like the best cake ever. So I mean, they're going to do it better than we're going to do it, and we don't have a kitchen anyway. So bring it on over, and we'll be the fun creators.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Clint, thank you so much for walking us through your Planet Novak, like Claw Arcade experience and what you've done over the last few months. I know you've been super busy. You're getting ready to be super busy again. So I'm excited. We'll have you back on. Maybe we'll restart the road trip segment.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm hitting the road. So we're going to have to start talking about the facilities I'm visiting again. I'm super excited about that because I really, that's the part of the job that I really enjoy is meeting new people, seeing their facilities, see what they do that's unique, and then being able to share their story because every operator has such a unique reason or rhyme as to why they're in the industry and how they got here and what they're doing and their view of it. And so I love getting on the road and visiting places. Yeah.
Well, it's clear, obviously, with you visiting all these places, you take the best little tidbits of everything and you've put it into Planet Novak. And I know you'll continue to do that and continue to improve your space. And so anyway, Clint, it's been great to have you on this Guest Gab. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Have a good one.
Power up your game floor with Arcades by Alan One. Whether it's perfectly pouring drinks in Dr. Pepper Soda Slam, grabbing official Butts on Things plushies, or defending cities from attack and missile command recharge, Alan One has something for every venue and arcade floor that will delight your guests. Each game is also enhanced with Major League Esports, a free app that tracks player top scores and brings guests back to your venue for more. Visit allen-1.com to learn more. That's allen-1.com. All right. Well, that was awesome. Absolutely love having Clint on the show whenever he's able to make it down, quote unquote, down to the show. And I'm really looking forward to restarting Road Trip with Novak. Those are always a lot of fun because he goes to a lot of different places and we get to see just his take on the different places that he's, the different venues and places he's visiting. And so looking forward to restarting that once he hits the road. But until then, we've still got all the rest of our show to go. So coming up next, we've got Open and Shut with Kevin Williams.
Hey, a big hello and welcome to Open and Shut. I'm okay, Brandon. You okay?
Yeah, doing great. Doing great. Back in lovely Phoenix. So I always love that.
Yeah. So I would say that it's a reasonable number of venues, very similar to last week. I get the feeling, as I keep on saying, that this may be the kind of number that we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of weeks going forward. I know we've got a spurt in February to look forward to, as well as in March. But let's get there before we start counting our chickens, as it were. Again, if I zip past one of these, please hit the pause for more details. Straight in, of course, our friends at Sandbox start the new year with a bang. They've had, I think, 2 facilities open as we've entered January, bringing them up to about 74 facilities. This latest one adding to the mix of Texas.
Wow. Well, yeah, Houston has a little bit of news so far this week too. There's a number of things that have popped up in Houston this week, but the 5,500 square feet is what gets me. I mean, it's a small box. So my guess is they don't have the drink robot there in this location, if that's the size of their square footage. So
I think it's 2 arenas and a VIP area, according to the info that was pushed towards me. It is going into a retail unit, as you can see. So it is what it is. Our friends at F1 Arcade, they opened their latest American facility. Atlanta is a very popular with the racing community to start with. So, one would assume that it's going to be dropping into a friendly locality. 15,000 square, the usual 60 to 70 numbers of simulators. So it seems to be following a proven formula, or formula that they feel comfortable with at this stage in time, understanding that they're also just undertaking a change in their management structure.
Yeah. I mean, they continue to, it's interesting. They're not open yet, right? So they, or at least not on their, according to their web, they might be open now, but according to their website, they say they're not opening until February 6th, but yet they already have 3 Google reviews. So I don't know what's going on.
Someone didn't tell their robots to hold back on its praise yet. So.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 Google reviews are actually really interesting. So it's more like they ended up using the Google reviews to like have a little flame battle. So between some of the users. So I don't know what's going on there, but they're 5 stars at least. So it's not going to hurt them.
I wouldn't recommend doing that type of stuff. If people want to do that around your facility, so be it. But don't get engaged in that type of stuff. Yeah, always ends badly. Moving on, and the UK saw another Star Pins. This is, the boutique or the lighter boutique version of the chain's offerings. We actually have some news about Professionals that Play, their operation coming up in Sound Off. But the issue I think that we're kind of seeing, and especially with what I was doing over the last couple of days, we're seeing that the boutique bowling facilities are really establishing themselves as the gateway into the competitive socializing environment, and that multi-use or mixed entertainment experiences are sort of using the bowling facility as the hub, and then using that central core to offshoot their amusement offering, or their shuffleboard, or their AR darts, like every facility has. But it is interesting to see that this Star Pins brand of the Professionals that Play operation is, heading in a more boutique direction.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's also interesting that, obviously the Professionals that Play are the guys behind Roxy Leisure and all the different Roxy venues. But they actually include, so they have a Pins Leisure category, and they include Star Pins and King Pins in this. And so they have 2 different models all fit underneath this like Pins Leisure. So like bowling leisure driven, bowling anchored leisure driven venues. And so I always find it interesting when they start to separate their brands, but again, maybe this is a way of doing what we often talk about here, which is separating your brands based on your attraction mix, so that there's not confusion. If I go to a King Pins, I know what a King Pins is going to be, and if I go to a Star Pins, I know what that's going to be. Instead of I go to a Roxy, a Roxy Pins or whatever.
I was in a Roxy Lanes recently, and they are predominantly more string. Duck pin bowling kind of facilities with other entertainment. I would actually argue that the Star Pins was created to separate itself from venues that have gone through, used a full-size bowling experience and had been updated to fit their design. But we'll have to wait and see when they've got more facilities out. This is only the second of the Star Pins that they've rolled out so far. Top Golf. An interesting anniversary for them. Their 100th US site has now thrown its doors open. From the information made available to us, again in Texas, that it's just a shooting range with their tech-infused ball technology, really. They haven't added anything new to the mix. They haven't really tried to embrace any of the competitive socializing opportunities. I think that they are living under the aspirations that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Though I would argue that after the sale from Callaway, there may be some tinkering needed under the hood.
Yeah, and their numbers show that their shit's broken. So I don't, I just don't understand. This continues to be absolutely mind-boggling to me that they continue to develop and build these sites without making any changes whatsoever to their mix, or their size, structure, or whatever.
Maybe if you find franchisees game enough to take on your cookie cutter operation, you're not going to encourage them to change it. They also may be mindful of what happened with Dave and Buster's when you allow someone tinkering in the kitchen with the menu. So we will have to wait and see. Personal opinion. I think that at some point in time, they'll have to have a Mel Cooper regarding where they are concerning their situation, the downturn in their facility sales and their food menu, as well as their retention. And at that point, when they admit that, then we could see quite a considerable change in the operation. Moving through the game, and Kingpin, this time in Australia. Really, what we're looking at is the continuation of the boutique bowling experience from an Australian point of view, which I feel is a high value or level of themality and development from these sites, clearly aiming at their 19 to 40 age group window, and creating quite a nice social mix from the photographs that I have regarding the opening of this facility. It looks really well appointed. And again, that is something that many of these boutique bowling venues are going to have to consider.
Yeah, I mean, the renders only, but I mean, they're pretty high fidelity renders so far. Yes. And it looks beautiful inside. And the lighting above, like you can't see it in one of these, but they have this really interesting ceiling lighting fixture that's just provides a nice ambient glow to the space. So it's it's interesting. They have a trophy room, some sports viewing areas, and as well as like other pool tables and such. So it really is it's pretty nice.
It is a level of engagement with your audience that makes it a comfortable, the phrase, the third space. This definitely does fall into that definition. Yeah. And if you haven't got a really cool themality, then allow the Lord to supply it to you. A church in Pennsylvania has been converted into an arcade. Yes. An interesting concept. I'm sure the acoustics are phenomenal in it when all the machines are turned on. It feels to be a labor of love, the development by this group towards it. There's 100 machines in there and about 30 pinball tables. I think there's a little bit more than 30 pinball tables in there. And they're also proposing to have quite a heavy social engagement. It's not just an arcade, but it is going to be a social hub venue. I'm looking forward to seeing some video when the DJ's going live about how well the facility works, but we wish them the best of luck on this concert.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have a really interesting piece of real estate. Like, well, what do we put in here? I've seen some very interesting things go into churches. One of my favorite taco spots in Phoenix is they call it the Taco Guild, and it's in an old church with stained glass windows, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Phenomenal tacos, great drinks. But the thing that gets me, is when you see the font and their logo, you very clearly ripping on the Pac-Man, font type and logo, and I don't think they'll probably float under the radar, but it is a bit of a stretch, or they're taking a little bit of a chance in using some of that typeface.
I get the feeling that they are doing this on minimal funding, so you have to do what you have to do, and it is easy to get your hands on that font key. Dave and Buster's continuing their openings, but franchisee in Mexico. I've got renderings and some pictures of what's going on here. It looks like it is a form factor traditional Dave and Buster's approach. I'm not seeing any social bays in this particular design, but I am seeing pool tables and foosball tables in unique locations. So I'm not sure how much the franchisee has had some opportunity to improve the mix of the layout, but it puts it into perspective that you know, we have about 178 facilities out there, you know, with a large percentage of them being franchisees. We're seeing very big motion on the Mexican, Venezuelan, the Saudi Arabian, and we will be soon reporting on an Australian Dave & Buster's opening soon.
Do we know, is it a master franchisee that is driving the growth through Mexico now? Did they buy up the entire Mexican country, or is this individual franchisees going into, you know, opening up in individual cities?
I think it is regionally owned, so you buy regional packets within the Mexican diaspora. I am not entirely sure if they have now transferred over to a central or master franchisee operation at this point.
Okay.
Flip Out, continuing their rollout. 80 chains in. I think it's more like 82 chains in. I'd have to go back to our database to double check. But anyway, Livingstone in Scotland gets a brand new facility, 20,000 square. That's nothing to sneeze at, obviously. We have the inflatable activities. We have you know, very active entertainment components to this, as well as some amusement.
Yeah, the Flip Out.
The search engine's a little slow today, is it?
No, I've got it up here. I've got it up. It's but it's, you know, it's a standard flip. For those, you know, who aren't familiar with flip outs, there's, you know, Ninja Tag, which is somewhat unique to them. They have bouldering, they have you know, spin zone bumper cars, inflatables, and like a parkour area. But it's very focused on the 12 and under crowd. Definitely, it's not meant for adult amusement whatsoever.
I don't think so. Though having some amusement machines in there may be done to give some of the Guardians something to do while they're waiting for their charges. But as you say, it is a child entertainment facility. Also,
real quick though, before we move on, this baby's eyes might be like the brightest blue I've ever seen. Oops. It's pretty, anyway, so I felt like I had to pull, oh no.
Wow, no, as well as the girls. So someone's been playing around with, yeah. Photoshop does have limits, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
Moving on, and a new concept in the active entertainment sector. We'll go into this in a little bit more detail in sound off, but fundamentally we're looking at minimal technology, but a lot of active entertainment here, all based around soccer, or football as you'd expect me to call it, a number of skill areas, as well as internal courts and external pitches for the audience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a deeper discussion about this on Sound Off, so I won't give too many of my thoughts here. But the one thing I will call out I thought was interesting is, given their current locations, you know, which have been international up to this point, it's you know, you've got Dubai, you've got Lisbon, and then they went with Orange County, which I thought was very interesting. Obviously very dense in population, but also not the most football crazed part of the United States. I would have really expected them to almost like end up in Florida somewhere, in Miami perhaps, or something like that. I'm just was really surprised to see it end up in Orange County. While there is a big football contingent there, it just seemed like a really interesting first U.S. location.
I would argue, Brandon, you know, as the Brits that had to live out in California for a period of time, the birth of the soccer mom can be charted around that area. You know, so we say the mediaization, the publicity of the ubiquitous soccer mom in her SUV. I always remember having to fight those young ladies coming home from work. Fundamentally, I get the feeling that they've placed this particular location very carefully here in California, with some links maybe to the youth soccer league sector. But again, not my bullywig, but just an observation. And then finally, Thrill House, quite a large facility here, 80,000 square, going into Illinois. It is an interesting one to watch. It's got quite an extensive multi-layer karting track. It's got the bowling lanes. It's got the mini golf. I think there's even laser tag in there, if my memory serves me right. But from, if you go onto their website now and have a look at the videos, they captured all of the imagery for their facility at a really early stage while drywall was being put up. But it is clear that a lot of thought has gone into this particular facility, and they're rolling forward with it in a manner that gets me to think that maybe this is the beginning of a change.
Yeah, this is interesting because I can't figure out for the life of me. There's a family entertainment center called Pirate Pete's. Also,
their website, they couldn't get Thrill House, so they had to go with Excite, I think. So if you look up Excite Thrill House or something like that in your search engines, you'll find the URL.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, because I'm finding a Pirates Pete's in the area, but again, this is another one of those that it just is a little bit bizarre to me when you see a family entertainment center of this size, especially when there's already other entertainment in the area.
Yes.
I'm going into a town like Marion, which is 17,000 total population, right? And it is a very light population to support an 80,000 square foot family entertainment center. If they're the only thing there, okay, great. But given the fact that there is already some other entertainment, this does make me a little bit concerned for their longevity.
You put in 80,000 square and you're expecting to have a very high audience catchment, and hopefully also have that market to yourself. To put it at that low number of I would say mid-scale catchments, if you pull the sphere out a little bit more, there's a little bit more to be gathered, obviously. You've got major routes from the freeways to your site, but is it enough to draw that audience on a repeat visitation level? I hope they've done their maths on this, and this isn't just a vanity project.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's that time now. We progress to the changes in our sector. New York had been the bastion of what I would have called the league and street route arcade style venue, the glowing screens. Sadly, one of the Brooklyn arcades, the dying breed of Brooklyn arcades, is now handing over the torch to the new generation. It opened in 2013. Yes, 2013. So it isn't an old arcade by any numbers compared to some of the others that have gone recently, but it was very popular with its audience. Again, the statement from the family that owns this, or should I say the whole group of the community that owns this, kind of left it vague on what the reasons were for the closure. But again, I wish everyone well, and I know that they will be moving some of these machines to other localities around there. A trampoline facility in Hull, in the UK, just turned around and said that they're closing, and they did give a specific reason. They blamed the rise in the cost to run the facility, stating that the local taxes and the rent for the space and all of that was impacting, as well as the wage issues that they were experiencing. And they also said a decline in footfall. Looking at this facility, it was, to coin a phrase, the bog standard trampoline active entertainment facility. They had not progressed any further down the active entertainment. It was a proven model 10, 15, 20 models years ago. Let's keep it the same and everything will be fantastic. Well, that isn't the market that we're in at the moment, and these are the results of not progressing.
100%. I would completely agree with that. They were a Gen 1 trampoline park, and we haven't seen Gen 1 trampoline parks in, at least 10 years, if not more than that, 10, 15 years.
It looks like they kept it clean. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We also have, I need to change it from shut and sale to also rebranding and restructuring, because we're seeing a lot of rebranding going on in the market at the moment. Companies repositioning themselves to be more applicable to their audience, or changing their core approach and wrapping a new branding around it. So we have something like the Blackfoot Recreational Center, and that has now gone and rebranded itself as Jump In, and they will have a lot more active entertainment focus. They will also increase their amusement mix, and they'll have some themality. So they're closing, let's see, they're going to be closing for about 6 or 7 months while they do this transition. Again, we're trying to get a better idea of what they're turning themselves into, just out of interest.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's always hard to see these community centers trying to do family entertainment or even active entertainment. It's a hard thing to balance. They're used to running community-focused events and everything else, and they think, well, we have all this extra space. What if we put in some amusement? What if we put in some other attractions? And we try to generate some revenue from that. And they just struggle to be able to do that because it's a very different model than like the community center model. So we see this a lot, but yeah.
At least they were honest in their statement that, they have struggled to reach the capacity that they've targeted themselves for. So obviously, if you have a target or a goal of capacity, you've done some research on what your core audience is, and that research has led them to pivot towards Jump In and a more active entertainment role. And again, it's part of the reason why I'd like to see the thinking behind how the reaction goes to this. And talking about rebranding, and we have one of our fellow presenters who's jumped into creating Planet Novak. It's always nice to keep your name involved in that, I think. So the original Clawcade was Cosmic Claw. And
it was actually, Cosmic Clawcade. Actually,
Clawcade. It was. They actually went the whole hog, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how Clint takes control of this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fortunately, we did get to hear from him on Guest Gab, and so talk a little bit about his path. But there's we didn't go into the full rebranding on the Guest Gab, though. Unfortunately, there's we can talk about that later.
Okay. And then finally, one outside of our bullywig, though I did report a few sound-offs ago that GameStop had been toying with the idea of dropping some retro arcade machines in the back of their facility. The Grim Reaper has turned up, and no matter how much their trash stock endeavors have generated vast amounts of money for their executive board. Sadly, the people at the coalface woke up to 2026 to find out that a considerable number of GameStops were closing. This is a retailer that has been selling physical video game content, as well as the consoles and the peripherals that go along with it. It has had an up and down roller coaster existence, even having its stock boosted by speculation that generated vast sums. But fundamentally, it was a broken model. And there's not a lot you could do to save this other than addressing the problems. And sadly, the management team didn't want to address the problems. They just feel out of their considerable number, I think over 600 facilities that they ran in North America, they're now cutting about half, if not more, of those facilities, and then they're going to restructure as well as rebrand. We think just as the board of directors were voting to give the executive team vast amounts of money if they achieve certain goals. This is just another example of the retail apocalypse. And when I say the retail apocalypse, I don't mean that it sway of everybody getting destroyed. It means that those companies like trampoline parks that don't update their business are going to be cast asunder by the changes in the market. We've also seen a decline in console sales as well as in content sales in the video game sector. So this is a kind of a barometer that we can touch upon maybe when we get more information of how well Christmas was for the video game industry.
Yeah, this is a hard one, primarily because I don't know. It's different from an entertainment venue like the trampoline park we covered just a moment ago that could have updated, could have ripped out some of their attractions, put in new ones. In fact, I'm talking with one for IntelliPlay with that they're doing that exact thing. They were a Gen 1 trampoline park and they're retrofitting their entire facility, closing down for several months to do that in order to stay relevant. And So that can happen at the attraction and LBE and LBX level. I do struggle with, like, where could GameStop have gone? It's like Blockbuster. It is Comp USA, Circuit City. These are all, as technology shifts and moves more online and more streaming and more downloadables, more PC gaming versus console gaming, et cetera, really their model is just fundamentally broken. And when do you get out, right? When was the right time to get out? When's the right time to shut down? Arguably, they probably should have closed all their stores in 2024 instead of waiting until now, when they first started to close their initial stores. But this is a hard one to pivot when you're so deeply embedded in the physical media.
This is Blockbuster Video writ large.
Mm-hmm.
And there were ways that Blockbuster Video could have saved itself. The famous story of their relationship with Netflix that nearly was. And I feel that there's the same argument for GameStop. But I think also the management structure that they have in place would not be amenable to a major shift in their core business. And they're going, sadly, the employees are going to pay the price for that intransigence.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that gives us a rundown of what's happening this week in the opening and shut. If you have more information, please send us links via our email or via our LinkedIn. And we have some stinger reports coming out. And if I can pull my finger out in time, we have some entertainment social arenas in the works.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, Kevin. Looking forward to the next open and shut.
See you later.
If you run a location-based entertainment brand and want to attract more visitors, check out Radius. They use real-time location data and customized marketing strategies to help brands like yours stand out. Radius can boost your foot traffic and build a loyal customer base. Plus, they're offering a complimentary local market analysis to show you exactly how they can help you grow. Curious? Visit radius.co and ask about your free market analysis. That's RAYDIUS.co.
All right. Well, coming up next, now we've got open and shut. What am I saying? We have Adam Pratt with Arcade Corner talking about EAG, and then we'll roll right into promo pro tips with Chuck DeMonte.
Greetings, everybody. It's Adam with Arcade Heroes for the Arcade Corner here at the LBX Collective. But let's get into the news of the week. Mainly just going to be covering EAG. But before I get into that, did want to point out, as we're still at the beginning of the year, that there are some notable anniversaries happening this year. And so this will make you feel old really quick. So let's do that before we talk about brand new stuff. So 50 years ago, before I was born, was 1976. And while there were a number of games that nobody remembers anymore, there are some games that plenty of people still would, such as Breakout by Atari and Seawolf by Midway, which if you hadn't seen that one, it had a periscope and you'd look into it and you'd fire torpedoes at enemy boats, be moving back and forth across the screen. Death Race by Exidy, which was the very first controversial game. It actually had news reports of people freaking out about it because you were running over gremlins in a car. And so that garnered a lot of attention. Heavyweight Champ is not one that is very well known because it's very rare, but it was the very first one-on-one fighting game. It was a boxing game by Sega. And kind of technically a fighting game was Knights in Armor by a company called Project Support Engineering, also super rare, but it was a jousting game, so one-on-one. Night Driver by Atari was a very popular game. Sprint 2 was a driving game by Atari that did extremely well. It would be on the earnings charts for years afterwards. In fact, it made more money than Breakout did. If we go back 40 years, so you feel a little less old, but I was around in 1986, and I actually have a memory which I can tie to 1986 because I can remember playing outside as a kid and my mom coming out and telling me about a space shuttle that exploded, which not a very happy memory there, but I can tie that to 1986. But in that year, for some happier things that happened, Arkanoid, funny enough, a Breakout-like game, or based on Breakout, but had power-ups and such, and a good personality to it by Taito. Taito also dominated with games like Bubble Bobble, where you played the little dinosaur guys that could shoot out bubbles and trap enemies. Darius, which was a side-scrolling shooter, which did pretty well. Akari Warriors. Sega really showed up on the map with games like Outrun, where you could drive a Ferrari or something like it. Rampage came out from Bally Midway. Rolling Thunder by Namco. By the way, this post that I'm using as reference hasn't completely finished yet, so that's why some elements seem to be missing. If we jump to 1996, so 30 years ago, I feel a little less old, but Ace Driver Victory Lap by Namco, a fun Formula One style racing game, which is essentially in the pole position series, but for whatever reason, after pole position 2, Namco just never used pole position again. They used things like Final Lap and Ace Driver and Ridge Racer, etc. Cruisin' World came out, GTA by Binway, GTI Club by Konami, Gunblade NY by Sega, Metal Slug came out from SNK, San Francisco Rush from Atari. Some fighting games like X-Men versus Street Fighter Alpha 2. And then 2001, which was 25 years ago, usually 25 is a nice marker, didn't have quite as much because this is about the time where the industry crashed again. And a lot of companies went out of business, such as Atari Games and Midway, as far as doing anything arcade related. Capcom pulled out of the U.S. market and such, but you had games like Arctic Thunder, Mocap Boxing from Konami, Planet Harriers from Sega, Silent Scope EX, the third Silent Scope, Star Wars Starfighter by a company called Tsunami, Taiko no Tatsujin, which recently came out in the States from Namco. And Turret Tower, you might remember that one. Also like Police Trainer 2, Police 911. Police Trainer 2 came out from Team Play. Police 911 from Konami. There was a bunch of police games. There were some other ones too that came out that year. And Pump It Up was the first international debut of Pump It Up, came out in 2001 by Andamiro. And so not quite as many games that year compared to the other ones that we just discussed, but a few. Now, on to the news. We had EAG Expo in London this week. Now, I did not get a chance to go there and check things out, but somebody from representing Arcade Heroes, is part of the Arcade Heroes team, was there. His name's Ted, and he took some photos. We have a post that will be going up, but I'm also going to share some photos that were shared with me from Kevin Williams here at the LBX Collective and the Stinger Report. But from what I heard, vicariously, I guess you could say, is that Dance Dance Revolution World, which was at the Electrocoin booth, obviously designed by Konami, but being sold into Europe through Electrocoin, which has a long-standing relationship with Konami. As I just went through a bunch of games from the past, they had a long-standing relationship too with Taito. It's just Taito's basically given up on the arcade business these days. They just license stuff out. But anyways, getting a new Dance Dance Revolution and this cabinet that you see here, all kind of silver looking, not actual silver, then that'd make the cabinet cost a fortune right now, given silver prices. But yeah, lots of people excited about this one that are into the rhythm gaming scene, as it's called. And so this is, I'll have to double check, but I think it's available now. Ted caught some other snaps, such as this Furious Speed DX. I guess my bird doesn't care about that. But he said this one was a little bit strange, but I have to follow up with him as to what it was or ask Kevin Williams about that. That looked like that was at the JNC sales booth. But here, as you can see, these are photos provided by Kevin Williams, who you should all know and love, that who was able to go and review everything there. Seems like there was quite a few simulators because I saw more than one of these sitting around. This one called Simway, looking like it's doing golfing stuff, but then you also have a shooting simulator here that almost looks like it's a zombie style shooter. And here's the Sega Amusements Kaizen Entertainment booth, where they had what was mostly a repeat of the IAPA 2025 booth, but not quite as large. Like they only have 2 Simon arcades as opposed to 4. But they also had some new games such as the Neo Shuffle, which you see on the side here. Let's see if he got another photo of that. Maybe I'm going to have to do some scrolling to find. So spoilers on all this stuff. I can't remember where I might have seen another one. You know, my bird and dog are going at it. Good timing. Oh, yes. Go Ducky was a new game that Sega introduced. And so Sega's done a few of these kind of derby games now. Or is it a few or just 2? I know I'm misremembering here. There was the Zombies Ready Daddy Go, which they did a few years back, which was a fun game and an interesting way to bring back a classic electromechanical, physical type concept. And this one, instead of using zombies, uses what appears to be rubber duckies swimming in the water. And so you still roll the balls and hit them into the targets at the back. And depending on which targets you hit, then it'll make your duck swim faster. But that seems like a nice family-friendly version. I can imagine where it's like, a few weeks ago, I had a mom bring her kids in, and one of her boys just absolutely freaked out. Like I've never seen anything quite like it, because I had a zombie game in there, and I was actually even afraid of the Luigi's Mansion, and he like started screaming, "I need to get out of here!" It was just like, oh my goodness. So like some kids are absolutely terrified by even cute-looking zombies, and so. Oh, well, but Go Ducky by Sega can get around those sorts of problems. But let's see. Yes, here's Neo Shuffle, which is a new shuffleboard concept, social entertaining, competitive socializing, as we often call it. But this has camera systems up top to know exactly where the position of the pucks are to do scoring and all that jazz from there. But let's head back up here. That as far as I know, those were the only 2 new debuts: the Go Ducky, Go Ducky, and Neo Shuffle. There. Although, yes, I forgot that Sega also does represent several different brands that normally are represented by different companies here in North America, such as LAI Games. They sell their equipment into Europe, and so you had the likes of Cyberpunk 2077 Turf Wars there, and didn't see a photo of the All-Star Ubisoft VR there, which Sega did have at IAPA Expo Europe last year. And then here's another photo that Kevin got of that Furious Speed DX game that Ted had mentioned was strange. Now, I'm not 100% sure which booth. It might be GNC sales, but this also looks like this could be on a different booth. Where you have Marksman. Now this one's called Marksman Max, and Amiro USA is carrying just Marksman here in North America. And this game was designed by a Chinese company called Superwin. And it looks like Marksman Max, as opposed to using 2 big screens mounted vertically, it's just using a normal big widescreen, probably like I don't know if that's an 80-inch or something. But then it has 4 guns and they're rifles as opposed to 2 pistols that the Andamiro version or the non-max version has. But it's essentially a shooting gallery game, but it does have some elements that are like other light gun shooters. There's another shot of Dance Dance Revolution World and what's called the Universal Cabinet. If I recall correctly, it's an offline cabinet. Got some pinball there, but from that shot, it's more of, these are more aisle shots, so not much we can see. Dance Show, this is essentially a competitor to Sega's My, which has not been released in Europe yet. I mean, Dance Show has, but My has not. And so whether or not Sega is still going to do that, I guess it depends on how well it keeps selling here in the States. Stepmania X, or Stepmaniacs is the proper way to call it. It was at the UDC booth, as it usually is. Latest software, and they're still supporting that. They've sold over 5,000 of those, and so it's the best-selling dance game in modern times. Got some Redemption and Claw Machine product. NeoShot Photo Booth, which interestingly enough uses a classic arcade-looking cabinet instead of your typical photo booth setup. Bandai Namco Amusements, who also represents some different products, such as like they'll sell raw thrills and some others into Europe. Adrenaline Amusements. They had a similar setup to their IAPA 2025 booth, but there was a game that showed up at IAPA that they had called The Future, but it was not here. But this game that you see in the corner on the left side corner, Mini World Motion, was there. It's essentially like Minecraft. But this is where you could find like Top Gun Maverick and Wizard of Oz and Jackpot Racer, Goldstorm Pirates, Godzilla Kaiju Wars DX. Here's another competitive socializing kind of sports game called Social Rivals. It looks like putting with projection mapping, so a mixed reality putting game. That's cool. I don't think I'd seen something like that before, but also you have 360 golf, which might also be, well, I guess not, because I don't see any projectors unless they're hidden somewhere that we can't see there. Almost out of time, so gonna race through here. I heard a lot of people talking about this RoboBike setup, which interestingly enough does not have VR on it. And that's another thing that a continued trend is. There was just news about Meta looks like they're essentially dropping their investments into VR. I mean, not completely, but there's layoffs and they're pulling back on developments and such. And we've seen that for a while now in the arcade business, where instead of using headsets, of just going back to displays and generally doing bigger displays. But you got realistic bikes on presumably professional style motion bases. This one allows you, if somebody is disabled, then they can sit down in the wheelchair and still experience a bike. That's interesting adaptation there. The Rylix coasters, I guess I was just saying how VR is not doing great, and there weren't many examples, but there we go. There's at least one example of a VR system. The LED Pixel games by Pixel Games was there. UDC did have, this was the only new thing from Ace Amusements, I was told, the Jet Ski Racer, which was not at IAPA, and then a different version of Biker's Madness with the smaller screen. Biker's Madness was at IAPA, just in a bigger cabinet. Somebody dancing there. Here was the pinballs, and I think this is the first time The Walking Dead Remastered showed up over in Europe. But as far as I know, that was it. Oh, and there is another VR one. The only other VR ones that I know of, unless I say that and then I'll be scrolling through and I'll find something else here. But the Ubisoft All-Star VR and Alpha Ops VR Strike were on hand at the Sega booth. This is bouncing back to, this looks like this. Oh yeah, that's right. So Sega is carrying Speed Rider 40X, this motorcycle game, in Europe, whereas Bandai Namco Amusements is carrying it in the States. And so I did forget that Sega had this one there, but I played this at IAPA. Fantastic graphics, really cool bikes, but as Ted had mentioned, probably very expensive. Daytona Championship USA Motion Edition and the standard version of Apex Rebels. More mini golf, quite a few mini golf things and other sports related simulators to be found. That essentially wraps it up, but thanks for watching. And this segment, keep watching on to the next one. We'll see you next week.
Hello and welcome to Promo Pro Tips with Chuck DeMonte. That is me. And today I want to go over 3 ways that local awareness actually gets built. So it is super important. I tell clients, potential clients, friends, whoever in business, it is unbelievably important that every single business starts with awareness, okay? Now, if people aren't aware of you, how are they going to do business with you, right? There's a customer journey. I don't care the business. It starts with awareness. Then it becomes consideration, okay? Consideration is like, hey, let's go there. Should we go there, right? And then they hopefully become a customer. They take action on that awareness, right? And then you want to turn them to repeat customers. But it all starts with awareness, right? And you want local awareness. I don't want people 3 hours away from me to know who I am, right? I want them in a 30-minute drive time to know who I am. So how do we accomplish that, okay? So let's discuss 3 ways to really get this done. First and foremost, multiple touch points, okay? What does that mean? I want them to see your brand on social media. I want them to see your brand on an email. I want them to see your brand on an SMS text message. I want them to maybe see it as you sponsor the local team, right? Maybe in a local magazine, right? All those are different touch points, okay? So it's really important you are doing all of that. Now, you don't want to necessarily do all of them, right? Especially if you have limited time, resources, dollars, right? But do what you can and try and stay on multiple channels so you have multiple opportunities to get in front of people. So not only does that expand your reach, right? That reach being unique, right? Sort of awareness, right? One person, me, you reached me, okay? That expands your opportunities to reach somebody. It's going to expand your impressions, right? So I could see I'm one reach, but maybe I see you on 5 different channels. That's 5 impressions, okay? And there's a lot of data that shows that before somebody does business with you, they need 5 to 12 impressions, right? And the higher the impressions, the higher the likelihood of them doing business with you, okay? So how do you stay in front of a lot of people and continue to stay in front of them, right? Now, once they are customers, and even when they're not, there's something called top of mind marketing, right? If you're staying in front of them, they're going to say, when they're thinking about doing something with their family over the weekend or whatever, thinking for something to do, we're human beings. We have so many things going on, especially nowadays, right? So many things vying for our attention. You have to stay in front of them so you're top of mind for them. They go, oh yeah, I want to go to that place. Let's check it out. Let me look it up online, right? So that's the first one, multiple touch points. Number 2, you should be doing digital and local. Super, super, super important, okay? I want you to do the meta ads. They're super easy, right? Do meta awareness, kind of, right? Meta awareness ads, right? Email marketing, potentially Google ads, right? Those are a little more complex than some of the paid ad channels. Search engine optimization maybe, right? But anyways, digital ways, organic posting, okay? SMS marketing is essentially digital, okay? Digital channels plus local, right? Reaching out to the schools, doing that boots on the ground, going to attend events local to you, the festival, the whatever, having a presence there, right? Sponsoring the local baseball team, getting your logo on there, putting, potentially some flyers sent out, right? That's local, okay? You need to combine the 2, right? Again, the more this will open up more channels that you have to get in front of more people and get those more impressions that we were talking about in the first one with multiple touch points, okay? Now, this is a snowball effect, right? That's why we goes to my 3rd thing, consistency, okay? You can't do this for a month and be like, oh, it didn't work. You need to consistently do marketing. And a lot of FEC owners, operators, managers, I think they inherently think because they get walking traffic and it's hard for them to understand where it came from and all that, they don't really all the time, right? The good ones do understand the roles that marketing plays and the awareness that marketing plays. I think it's sort of like voodoo juju, right? But I cannot tell you how many places, clients that we bring on and we make such a difference so quickly because they're a good location, but they're just not doing anything, right? They're not doing meta ads. They're barely doing email marketing. And like, I'm not kidding. It's like, in 30 days, we got more people in that place, right? Just from doing some things. And again, that's not always the case, but it's more frequent than you would think. So again, 3 ways to get local awareness. How that is actually built: multiple touch points, doing digital and local strategies, and consistency, doing them consistently. So I promise you, do those 3 things, do them consistently, and you will grow. As long as you have a good operation, you will grow your revenue and your foot traffic.
Intercard is the only cashless system designed, developed, and manufactured all under one roof. They introduced cashless technology to the amusement industry and have been leading the way for over 30 years. Cashless systems from Intercard increase customer spending, guest satisfaction, and boost revenues by up to 30%. Intercart is so proud to be serving the amusement industry, and if you aren't already part of their global family of customers, they hope you will become one soon. All right. Well, that was a great LBX show for today. A little long, right? We went 90 minutes. It's all good. It was a lot of good information, good stuff there. And it was always great to have Clint Novak on for Guest Gab. All right. So next week, we have Sound Off number 106 with Kevin Williams coming out on Tuesday, January 20th. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have another special guest joining us for a Guest Gab to talk about the top FEC and LBE finalists for IAAPA's Brass Ring Awards. And that will be a lot of fun. And until then, that is a wrap for this week's LBX show. This is Brandon Wiley signing off. Keep kicking it.